Hello, BookTube. Right, we're going to continue this library tour. We're on the bottom shelf of this next bookcase, and then we'll move on. Then I will use the step stool to do the top shelf of the next one. So we've got a lot of oddly shaped stuff here. Let's see what we can find. The first one is, oh man, first one is transwise and needed to be yanked. Never mind cocking. You don't ever want to yank a book. If you have to yank a book in your library, you are doing something wrong. Oh my. Okay, well, I like the book though. This is from IDW Publishers. This is IDW Publishers had, I think they still do, have the license to Star Trek comics. And for a little while they got the fan favorite writer and artist, also big Star Trek fan, John Byrne, to do a lot of Star Trek comics. And they just collected them all in one volume, which is terrific. That is absolutely terrific. So here it is. I mean, I'm a big fan of John Byrne's artwork. I can do without his prose, but his Star Trek is wonderfully felt. I have usually no major complaints with it, except for that for some reason Dr. McCoy seems to be a big favorite character of his, and for some reason in this book he makes Dr. McCoy rather noticeably Oriental, which seems a little strange, but it doesn't matter because you get everybody in this thing. You get Romulans and Klingons, you get Christopher Pike and his crew, and these were all individual issues. Some of them, which the 4-issue miniseries on Dr. McCoy, I actually bought in the comic shop. Never imagined it'd be a collection, much less such a pretty one. So I was happy to have it, although I'm not happy to yank it. I should not be yanking books. That was the only transverse one. Then we have, oh, look at this thing. This is a big thing. This is by Scott Tracy Griffin. This is from Titan Books. This is a centenary celebration of Tarzan. And it's just, there's the cover of Son of Tarzan for the old mass market paperback that has the Son of Tarzan as a blonde. This goes through the changing nature of Tarzan's appearance. It's got his film appearances, his TV appearances. It's got a ton of comic book artwork and periodical artwork. It's just an amazing tribute to Tarzan. Just amazing. It doesn't really leave anything out. I got it, I think, from Titan Books themselves, and I couldn't even think about getting rid of it, big and bulky as it is. So here it is on this bottom shelf. This next one is a big comic book omnibus. This is The Avengers Volume 3. I think I might have gone over this on this channel. This is these big full-color omnibus editions that Marvel and DC put out of their various older comics, stuff that I know I like. There's virtually never been... actually, that's not true. For most of the first 200 issues of the Avengers, even more than that, there were no eras of this comic that I didn't like. I collected, I read the Avengers every month without fail from the beginning, from issue number 1 all the way to 250 issues at least. Now I don't even recognize the Avengers anymore, but I know if you give me a team roster, I can practically guarantee that I know the run, the artist, the writer, and some of the stories are just wonderful. Okay, here's another Avengers omnibus. This is Omnibus Volume 2 with an Alex Ross cover. Look at that, huh? All the villains that our team had to face, and there are the individual covers. This Volume 2 covers a lot of ground. These things cover 20 issues, more than that. But this covers the time. It's got writing by Don Heck, artwork by Don Heck, writing by Stan Lee, and this is Stan Lee decided that I don't think he did it really consciously. I think he decided organically that for a while there, his original Avengers team was unbeatably powerful. You have Iron Man, but you also have Thor and the Hulk on the same team fighting the bad guys. Now, granted, the Hulk doesn't stick around for long, but even so, that's pretty tough. So, I mean, your other members are Ant-Man and the Wasp. That balances out things a little. But any team that has Thor, the Hulk, and Iron Man is pretty tough to beat, according to the supervillain roster of the day. And Stan Lee depowered the team. He took a radical approach to that. He added Captain America. He revived the World War II era superhero Captain America. And then he had most of the founding members of the team leave. And suddenly Captain America was leading a 4-person team. The Avengers had only 4 members. and only 2 of those members were superpowered. so that made for an amazingly. I was all up in arms. Oh my God, Marvel got its share of irate letters from small town Iowa about what a horrible decision that was. At the time, I could be relied upon to fulminate against any decision that gave me less Thor. And this did. but I fell in line. I came to love those issues. Absolutely love them. And then that grew. The team, just organically, the Avengers always gets bigger as a team. People come and stick around. Writers have characters they want to use or whatnot. And those stories just grew from there into, it's a wonderful era. Actually, both those volumes are. And somewhere out there in the world, there's a 4th volume, a 4th omnibus of the Avengers that I could probably get for $30 online. I don't think I have it, but I should, because it also is era after era that I loved. Okay, all right, here's another omnibus. This is another comic book omnibus. This is Thor, the aforementioned Thor. He is my favorite Marvel character. This is an artist redoing, I think it's a Sad Rabik, redoing a classic cover from an old Thor comic book. This volume covers the change from Thor didn't start out with a #1 like so many other marquee Marvel characters did. He started out in Journey into Mystery and took off. Only he didn't take off as fast as Spider-Man. Spider-Man started off also without a #1 under his own name. But he became phenomenally popular. Thor was a little bit slower a grower, mainly, I think, because the artwork originally was so terrible. No offense to Stan Lee's brother, but it was just so terrible. But it got better. Jack Kirby came back to the book and got a great inker in Vince Colletta and started doing amazing work. And the storyline in which the conversion took place from Journey into Mystery into Thor is a 5-parter that is one of the best Thor storylines of them all, Thor and Hercules fighting the hordes of the underworld. Just terrific stuff. And it goes on from there. These are Thor issues that I have read my individual copies until they were turning to dust. And I've gotten every reprint volume that Marvel has ever done that had these issues in it. And then I saw the omnibus for like $30 at a comic book shop and grabbed it. Okay, this next one is not a comic book anthology. This is, these are great though. This is Thames and Hudson, I believe. This is Chronicles of the Pharaohs. A very, very visual, very easily laid out look at all of the pharaohs chronologically, the highlights of their reigns, the nature of their family, the upheavals in the country when they were during their reign. And Thames and Hudson did a book of this for a lot. They did Chronicles of the Russian Tsars. They did Chronicles of the Roman Republic, the Roman Empire. These are terrific reference volumes, just durably good. I think this is the only one I kept. This is my favorite one. And it's also one of a handful of ancient Egypt books that I kept. I used to have a whole bookcase full of ancient Egypt books. I think I just have one or two scattered throughout my collection. They serve their purpose. I wrote my NaNoWriMo book on King Tut with superpowers, and that was enough. Okay, I think we might have seen this come to the channel. This might not be an old book. This is Venetian Hours, which is a study of various artists encountering Venice. There's Sargent, there's Whistler, there's Henry James, and in the course of the book there are a whole bunch of other people too. So you get the predictable Whistler artwork, but you also get lots of other stuff too, and lots of observations that are fantastic about my second favorite city. So, oh god, all right, well here's another one. This is the Palaces of Venice. I have been in virtually every one of these. Some of them I've been in every room, every attic, every basement, down into the the galoshes territory. And this is just a big picture book that takes you through historical pictures and contemporary pictures of all of these places. And gives little potted histories. Nothing unusual. There are 100,000 books like this, but this is the one I have. Oh, okay. All right. This is slightly more inventive as a look at Venice. This is the Gardens of Venice, which almost seems like a contradiction in terms, especially to strangers, to tourists, because it doesn't look like there's any green space at all in Venice. There is some. There's not a lot, but there is some. And Venetians, especially in the early part of the 20th century, were very tenacious about their gardens. Not just as a place to grow food, but also as sort of a way to demarcate their own little space. So dotted throughout the city, there are lots and lots of gardens. And this book, gives a really good look at a lot of them. I noticed when I was flipping through it last that there are some gardens that I've been to that the author apparently did not get access to. But there are plenty that he went to that I didn't get to stroll around in either. So it evens out. Then this next one is great. I did a review of this and I loved it. This is a reprint actually, but it's a big, gorgeously illustrated reprint. This is Golden Legacy, the story of little golden books. And it is wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. It's heavily illustrated. Those of you who aren't in America might not know little golden books, although maybe your used bookstore will have them. They were a staple in American publishing forever and ever. Little children's books called little golden books. And this is not only just a priceless visual guide to that history, but also a wonderful history of the people that made that up, the men and women who made golden books into what they were. Just fascinating stories. I loved reading about it, loved reviewing it. Okay. All right, then we go to comic books, oversized comic books. Marvel Comics and DC used to do these oversized things before they got to graphic novels, before anybody thought of that. They're big. They're very big compared to a comic book. I wish I had a normal comic book here, but you'll know what I mean. Marvel's were called the Treasury editions. This is Conan the Barbarian, a Treasury edition, and you get a chance. They're just reprint volumes, but you get a chance. They're reprint volumes, but they did have some original pinups, and you get a chance in these things to see reprinted stuff that you maybe weren't familiar with, and they were more expensive. You couldn't just toss off this money. You had to budget it. But you also got a wonderful mix. Whoever was making the Treasury volume would mix things up along a theme. You sometimes got this was before collected editions, so this was the only way that you were going to get a big storyline all in one place. And I used to love them. I guess I have all of mine here, all the ones that I currently have. This was DC. This was Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes. There is a Mike Grell cover showing the Legion. My Legion, not the Brian Michael Bendis Legion, not the Brian Michael Bendis politically correct, mandatorily diverse Legion. I see a lot of diversity in this team, but I guess I don't see enough. So the new Legion doesn't look like this at all. But this has, let me see. It reprints classic storylines, but it also gives you new insets. There is Dave Cockrum drawing the wedding of Bouncing Boy and Triplicate Girl and all of the people in the background. He has all the people in the background, all kinds of details that you won't find in the comic book. And then here's another Treasury edition. This is Marvel Comics. Classic, much illustrated Barry Windsor Smith cover that just reprints some classic Conan adventures with added editorial material. Let's see here. Okay. This next one is not. This is not actually a Treasury edition. But the size was meant to imitate them. The size was, like everything else about these books, was meant to be a throwback, nostalgic. This is Alex Ross. This is the Wonder Woman volume, Spirit of Truth. But he did 4 of these. He did one for Superman, one for Batman, one for Wonder Woman, and one for Captain Marvel. And they are all just fully painted. And they all represent one adventure of the main character. And they're delightful. Absolutely delightful. I think this might be the only one that I have in this individual format, because they were then collected. They were later collected in a big volume that had all 4 of those volumes plus Alex Ross's big Justice League adventure. And I thought, why have the individual ones? I don't know why I kept the Wonder Woman one. It is a lovely thing. Absolutely lovely. Okay, this is Wonder Woman as well. This is Wonder Woman versus Superman. A big old special edition thing that has Jose Luis Garcia Lopez cover. There's Uncle Sam trying to mediate between Superman and Wonder Woman as they fight. And it's a fascinating issue. A little bit disappointing on the cover. Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, it was part of its time. It was in the 70s. So you see that they are about to fight, and Wonder Woman is clearly getting ready to scratch his eyes out. Although they do get into a more meaty tussle on the back. And it's Jose Luis Garcia Lopez also draws the thing. And it's fascinating. I wrote about this, actually, because I find it so interesting. It takes place during World War II. It wasn't the normal Earth Superman and Wonder Woman. But it's still fascinating because, that is the question. I know DC fans, the emblematic question for them is who would win in a fight between Batman and Superman. And the standard answer is Superman would win in 10 seconds if Batman was not prepared, and Batman would win in 10 seconds if he was prepared. But the more elemental question is who would win in a fight between Superman and Wonder Woman? Because she has allegedly all of his strengths and none of his weaknesses, and tons more combat experience. So you wonder. It's never made all that clear, but this was an interesting forerunner of future fights. Okay, this is another Marvel Treasury Edition. This was only the second one that they did. Their first one was Spider-Man, and then the second one was is the Fantastic Four. And another one of the things that you got from these early Treasury Editions, you saw it with that Barry Windsor Smith Conan cover, was the great cover. This is John Romita Sr. drawing the Fantastic Four, launching into action in their classic iteration, and that is just incredible. That is just incredible. I would have bought it. I mean, I bought it for the great reprints. This also has the Galactus saga in it. First time that I ever had that reprinted. But I would have bought it for this fantastic artwork. This is John Romita Jr. John Romita Sr. I don't think ever drew the Fantastic Four in their own book. Maybe one issue here and there, but not any kind of run. So it was amazing to see him draw these characters like this. Although a persnickety Jesuit-trained little snot in the American Midwest when this first came out asked the question, well, if the Fantastic Four is charging into combat, who's launching the pogo plane from the Baxter Building? What are you going to do? So if we've got that, we must have some of these others. Oh, yes, okay, all right. This is number 7. This is a treasury edition of the Mighty Avengers. The reprint's just some classic storylines, including the wedding of Yellow Jacket and the Wasp. And again, a big part of the draw is the fantastic artwork on the back and front cover. That's Jack Kirby drawing the Avengers in all of their glory, in all of their Rand Corporation glory. That is just incredible for Jack Kirby to draw these classic characters like that. And then this is the last one. Oh no, this is number 3. Don't tell me I don't have the Spider-Man one. Maybe I don't. This was my favorite one. This is the aforementioned multi-part saga that saw Thor transition from Tales to Astonish to Journey into Mystery to Thor's own book, where first he fights Hercules, then he teams up with Hercules, and this is the Thor Treasure Edition. This is the third one that they did. They did this after the Fantastic Four and after Spider-Man. And again, you have a beautiful John Romita Sr. front cover and a beautiful John Romita Sr. back cover. Just amazing. And also, if I remember correctly, in the middle of this issue, there's an original pinup by John Buscema, who went on to be, this is all Jack, yeah, get there. There's Odin on his throne. There's Volstagg holding up a tankard of mead. And I confess, I mean, you won't often see it in my library tours, but I confess that I'm keeping these things largely for sentimental reasons. There's virtually nothing that I just showed you that hasn't been collected in a hardcover, in a durable anthology. The Legion, Fantastic Four, Thor, the Avengers, they've all been collected. Except maybe Superman versus Wonder Woman. I don't think that's ever had a durable collection. But all the others have. And yet I keep these volumes. So, there isn't any real reason for that except sentimentality, because I've had these things so long. But anyway, that wraps up this shelf. So I'm gonna sign off for now, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.